I'm going to interject here before we get to the lower leg. This is optional, what I'm going to present right now, but important. And I want to talk a little bit about smoothing things and keeping shape when you start to do this, because you can already see that we're losing form. Let me just outline this. And then what's happening here? Shoo, shoo. Doesn't know what it wants to do. That's not good. We need to take care of that. And one of the best ways to take care of that is with polish brush. But you kind of saw polish brush kind of broke down when we did certain things. So this is an optional part that I'm going to include here. We're going to break all these out into their own piece, their own subtools, sorry. And that's going to give us another chance to remember their names and to name them all accurately. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing that, and then that'll give us a little bit more power when it comes to shaping these things. And really, at the end of the day, that's what I think you kind of have to do. So we want to make sure that the poly groups are set up so that the left and right, when you click on them, always show both sides. So I'm just going to test that out in a couple of places, because the next tool that we use is going to take each one of these poly groups and basically separate them into separate subtools. So what we do is come to this little tool here, Group Split. Okay, Group Split, and then we just split it. Let it do all of that work. Hit OK. It's not an undoable. Make sure you've saved before. I have already saved. It tells you up at the top what it's done. Mesh was split to 10 subtools. Great. And they're all right here. So, what do we got? What's this first one? Really nice way to do this is you just turn transparency on. And I like to turn ghost on in this case, or ghost off. Okay. Looks like that's on top. Or is it? Another option you can do is well, they're all poly painted. Let's turn the Policius group off. And there. So what's this one going to be? Solo mode. Looks like we got some of the profundus in there. Let's rename it. We're going to say this is the Flexor Digitorum Superficialis. Let's turn solo. There we go. Okay, do you remember this one? This is going from the medial epicondyle to the palm. So the palmaris longus. Okay, that's going to be the pronator teres. Keep the naming convention the same. Let's just show just the bone. This will be the easiest way. What's that connecting to? It's coming from the medial epicondyle, and it is along the ulna. So you know it's a flexor, and you know it's the ulnaris. So pretty straightforward. Flexor, carpi, ulnaris. What's this next one? It's a flexor coming from the medial epicondyles. It's going to the radius. So I'd say flexor carpi radialis. Okay, this is coming from the lateral epicondyle and along the ulna. So again, it's an ulnaris, but it's an extensor. Because it's attaching to that lateral epicondyle. Okay? This is attaching higher. It's in fact the highest ridge muscle. So that makes it the brachioradialis. This is a ridge muscle, but it's an extensor carpi radialis longus. And that's the extensor carpi radialis brevis. Looks like that's going down to the digits. So it's pretty simple. That's the extensor digitorum. And this is just the simple groups. And in fact, I've already saved it, so I can actually get rid of those simple groups. I don't need them. That's everything except for the pollicis group. So let's see about breaking these guys out. Although they're really not visible, so in fact, let's not do that. I don't want to complicate things and have a whole bunch of these guys hanging out there. But let's just show everything that we need to show. And where do we start? Let's start with the extensors, because those are what's really needing a lot of work. So I'm going to start with the extensor carpi ulnaris, and I'm going to say move that down so all the extensors are fitting together here. You can probably move the extensor carpi radialis longus up a little bit so it's part of the ridge. So we've got ridge muscles and extensors. Let's go with ulnaris. Make sure symmetry is on. You have to activate symmetry for each new subtool. And also, you really need to move that origin. It's really getting left behind there. Okay, I'm going to take the digitorum, turn on symmetry. And then the extensor carpi radialis brevis. Okay. Back to the ulnaris. Turn transparency on. That's really going to be one of the keys. And polish. We're going to be turning transparency on and off. You also may turn backface masking on. But you want to think long sweeps. If you don't know where backface masking is, this is a really important thing to know because it is incredibly useful. I'll show you here in just a moment. Careful of those strokes that just go crazy. I don't even know where I'm facing right now. Whew. Okay, backface masking. Auto mask, backface masking. I've just dragged that to my interface. Okay, this is already a cleaner line. long strokes. Alright, let's check the digitorum. Extensor digitorum. I'm going to do inflate a little. But I'm only going to inflate in the muscle part, the upper half. Polish, BP, and then I think O. Polish is going to automatically calculate based on your stroke. It's going to automatically smooth things along that stroke. So you really want to make sure that you're using nice, long, clean strokes when you use this. Move brush, Alt click, and just raise those above. Make sure symmetry is on. P and O. I want to take that hit down a bit. Extensor carpi, radialis longus. And turn transparency on, and if you turn transparency on, it ignores those other subtools. Just tapping to get a little inflation. And that looks cleaner, doesn't it? I mean, I feel better about it. I feel more like I would take ownership of it. But the rest of these guys need it as well. So we're not done yet. A lot of smoothing. And a lot of that polish brush. The ridge muscles are a little strange because there's some complex curve going on there. Smooth. Really drop that tendon down. Smooth out a little bit. going to turn transparency on for a moment and get just a bit of that curve that I want. Okay, let's go back to that digitorum. That looks cleaner. Just going to grab that lip and move it in. If you're bored, try it. Try it. You won't be bored for long. It's kind of difficult. Be gentle, though. And, all right. And really think about these guys where they merge. Okay, we come into the carpi radialis, and I've got to pull that lip out a little bit. Brachioradialis. There we go. Okay. Those are some mean, lean extensors. The ridge muscles are looking solid. And so we would do the same here for these guys. Now I'm always coming to the subtool palette and changing this because I have auto select turned off. And I have it turned off because it does this annoying thing that basically shoots the model back in space. So if you're wondering why I am going through so much trouble, that's why. Also, if you wonder what I just did, I pressed N on the keyboard, brings up the subtool palette. I can press P for palmaris, and then I can just press L for longus. Just like brushes. This is reasonably well structured though. Looks like I didn't get there. Pronator teres is kind of already set up, but I'm going to drop it below the brachioradialis. Let's get the flexor carpi radialis. Okay, turn that pronator teres back on. Let's get that flexor carpi radialis. Yeah. I'm going to drop that side back down. That's nice. Now let's come up. Flexor digitorum superficialis. I'm just going to spread it out. I don't really care what they look like on the inside. What I'm trying to do is just get a nice, clean, smooth surface. Nice little trick or thing to know is that the palmaris up here at the top actually creates a divot, whereas at the bottom it's creating a raised surface. So I'm just going to allow for that divot. In my eagerness here, I have ignored symmetry. Which is just a problem, but not a big problem. All right, almost there. Flexor carpi ulnaris. Cool. Those are more designed. Much more designed than we had before. And the key was getting in one by one, spending time with them, and really subtools. Okay, but like I said, I got ahead of myself. One side is sexy, the other side not so. So there are some issues with what I'm about to do. Let's mask off one side, and we're going to go, in fact, before we do this, let's save it. Before I use deformation, I like to save the model, make sure I'm going to be, everything's going to be okay. I don't like to get hit with some kind of sudden crash. Okay. So again, solo mode is on. Mask off one side, and then we go to deformation and say smart resim. Look for the top. It should say full symmetry found. If it doesn't, it'll be some percentage, and you just want it as close as possible. I'm just going down that list, masking off one side, smart resim. Finding full symmetry the whole way through. Okay, that one's already had symmetry on. And there we go. Okay, I think that's the last of it. Alright, now we've got other things to do.